Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Uh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Um, Sorry, I was dealing with some electrical issues actually here. So please. So, okay. Friday, I like you. Actually, give me a. I was about to say a second, but no, that wouldn't be a second. Aye. All right. Let's see. Um, I don't know if you can hear me. Please give me feedback.
I can hear you.
Okay. Good morning, Cleve. Um, if I'm correct, we left off on domain. Did we finish domain 4 or not? We start domain 5? Just here or not? Uh, Anybody, please remind me. I know it sounds horrible, but I don't remember. Because my eyes are like, yeah. So please talk to me. So yesterday we did a lot of review questions, right?
Yes.
We're on domain 5 right now.
In domain 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah, I'm opening the slides. I um Oh, okay, yeah, it says, yeah, slide one. That's where we left off. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. Yeah, it's slide 10. Yeah, it's slide deck 10. So, yeah, let me share this with you. And we have 9 people. I don't know. It's okay. Yeah, I guess 9 is the full house. Um, yeah, Vincent mentioned that we're supposed to have 9.5. So one person was setting up just for the part of the course because they're like, pardon me. All right. Um, so we talked about the physical-logical access, right? And with let me turn off the sound for just a moment. So I move a chair because this chair is very noisy. I'm sorry. Well, guess I could. I know it sounds funny because, well, I'm in a third world country. Um, so I went to George Washington University, and my economics instructor used to say, "Yeah, say it, then repeat it again, right?" So that's the American way, he said. Yeah, um, whether it's American way or not, I'm not quite sure, but IC square definitely repeats a lot of stuff, right? All right. Your last chance to ask questions about yesterday's stuff. Otherwise, we are in.
Um, can we just go back to the I guess the transport layer and the UP? I think it was just the slide before you ended. It was that was more around firewalls to the traditional and the next gen. I just trying to understand. I thought it was like three different firewalls.
I do not know that slide where it is right now.
But it's right before we started asking questions. It's not far out, but
Yeah, but I do remember the slide. I just don't know where it is. Um, so
well,
it's not like there are 3 types of firewalls. No,
mhm.
no, there's probably 10 types of firewalls because, but this is a very broad category, right? So there was a slide divided in half. On the left hand side, the traditional stuff, right? And
Mhm.
then at the right hand side, it says next
Next gen.
generation,
Yeah.
right?
So
So
the next generation has like it has the IDS. It's kind of like a suite of all these different tools in there, right? But I thought it was
April, if you're
pardon me.
thinking of the picture I'm thinking of,
Yeah.
the original firewall had like 4 images, which included IDS, IPS
Yes.
stuff. However, the second picture included 6 little squares. Is that the picture you're thinking of?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So I
mm,
know which image you're talking about.
yeah, and I was surprised. You remember I told you I was
I'm
surprised
a
that
visual person.
I was surprised that they include FAS. If you remember, I mentioned that specifically. They include FAS, a function as a service.
Yeah, I saw that on some of the test questions. FAST is FAS.
Yeah,
Thing.
and I was kind of surprised because not because they, well, I mean, because fast is just one of the 100 nodes. Like AWS, for example, right now has about 200 services, right? Why single out fast? But yeah, they singled it out and like, okay, I'm thinking, fine.
Okay, I'll research the different firewalls, but I do have a question for the PAS and IASS service SAS. How
Uh-huh.
so? I have a hard time distinguishing between SAS, PAS, and the IaaS one. I know
Um,
that SaaS is everything everything in the cloud, meaning that the vendor will handle, the cloud provider will handle everything for the client, right? But PaaS and IaaS, I just have a problem trying to
So
distinguish those.
can I help?
Yes,
Maybe. All right.
please.
So software as a service includes everything.
Right.
However, PaaS is the platform. So they include everything up to the operating system. You have to include your own software, or you supply your own software. And then infrastructure as a service is you just have the hardware and you have to put on your own operating system and your own software. Is that an easy way to do it? Or
Yeah, yeah. So you have to have the hardware for infrastructure as a
no,
service.
no, they supply the infrastructure.
Oh, they do that. Okay.
Yes.
So you have
So
to have software and what database?
and operating system for infrastructure. You need to have the operating system, the drivers, the software, the applications, the database, all that stuff.
well,
Okay.
there, yeah,
Because you just
very,
get the hardware. That's it.
very good. It's a very good explanation. Yes, thank you. Very
Okay.
good explanation. But also think in terms of trust and licensing. So with IS,
Hmm.
you whatever licensing you already have, imagine you paid already for Oracle license for 10 years. Imagine you know Larry Ellison personally, and you paid already for the Oracle database for the next 20 years, and you don't want to pay anymore. And same with operating system. Imagine you have your own operating system, or you have some kind of Linux or whatever. Yeah, I mean, who would use IS infrastructure as a service? Who?
Developers? Right.
No,
No.
intelligence community usually. All large manufacturing companies. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense. So
Intelligent
I
community use IaaS.
usually yes,
Okay.
because of low trust, they don't trust in public cloud. They don't
So,
the issue of trust and licensing.
so Cliff, when you say hardware, what are you talking about? Or Alex, either one. Hardware for IaaS.
That would be the server, the hard drives, the CPU, the GPUs. Sort of like you were building your own computer.
Uh-huh.
And right there. Next, you have to buy the operating system, which is the platform.
That's a good point. But also imagine you a manager for a large organization and you choosing do this. So we want to have a data center, and we came to the data center guys, and they offered us a contract. It's very nice, but the minimum term for data center contract is 10 years. We don't want to. I'm like, you scratching your head. Do I want to sign a contract for 10 years for data center? Or do I go to AWS where I have the same data center, but it's pay as you go. And if
Hmm.
tomorrow you choose not to pay, it's okay, no problem. There's no penalties. So that's another way to look at that, right?
Okay.
Um, it's if I look correctly, it says, yeah, it's supposed to resume here, right? Do you supposed to see on the screen credential management system? Do you see it or not?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, well, with applications, with everything, it's all about credential management system. So you need to remember it, right? And you specifically need to remember well, yeah, that credential management system exists. That's a valid concept. And in 2009, the United States federal government, they developed framework for that. They called it FICAM. FICAM, yeah. So the concept of sponsorship, enrollment, credential production, issuance, and credential life cycle comes from the federal government directive, United States. So it's not European, it's not worldwide. Even though worldwide, it's kind of adopted in general. So the sponsorship means, and usually functional manager or product owner, somebody like that, that sponsor the access to application or database, right? Then there's the enrollment, which might include physical enrollment, like fingerprints and things like that. And then PIF card or whatever the credentials used would be issued. And then the credential lifecycle, one person is offboarded, then of course it would be deleted. So authentication versus authorization, very basic concepts. Most of you should know it very well, but just in
Alex,
case.
the screen is white, and also if you could please move your the stop sharing button. It's kind of in the middle of the content.
So yeah, sorry. I move it here as it usually it is here. No, stop sharing. I need to share again. I'm sorry. But yeah, thank you for letting me know. Somebody shared the link or something. Let me see. Oh yeah. Somebody just shared the link about AWS. Yeah. And again, we are not supposed to endorse any kind of clouds or anything, so that's why. But personally, my experiences with AWS, I know the best. I don't know if it's the best cloud though. Probably not. I shared it again, and my experience, I need to stop and share it again like twice. Then it works. I don't know why. Let's do it again. I share. And today, let's move very quickly because this is a small domain. We should cover it today and maybe even look at some review questions. So authentication versus authorization. Anybody has doubts or doesn't understand? So you authenticate means you well, you don't, but maybe you do. Maybe that. I mean, in this case, user ID has been verified. Who it is? Authorization is what person can do, right? That's the key. All right. So accounting, and so if we go back, so it's letter A, accounting, right, and authorization, authentication. It's letter A and A, so it's triple A. It's famous triple A. There may be a question on the exam about if you see triple A, what they're talking about: authentication, authorization, and accounting. Somebody needs to mute their microphone because I think you're snacking or eating your cereal or whatever.
So not auditing, it's accounting.
What do you think?
It's not auditing, AAA, it's accounting. Authentication, authorization, and accounting.
Yeah, it's accounting. Even though auditing, it's almost the same, I guess. Well, no.
I see discrepancies all over. It's either accounting, auditing. I don't know.
I wouldn't say discrepancy. So accounting is broader category of actions. Auditing is the process.
Right.
So when accounting is done, which means all the actions are captured, information is captured, then auditing may be performed or may not be performed. So auditing is optional and may be chosen to be done. Accounting must be done always, right? Yeah, somebody I think dropped a link or something in the chat box. Let me see. Uh, let's finish the domain today, guys. That will be perfect. Pass will be for developer. Okay. Yeah. SaaS would be for customers or Uber. Yeah, there are many ways to look at it. It's
I just wanted to make something clear because I think between the two people explaining that it wasn't super clear.
well, yeah. Okay. To make it super clear, if you're a manager at the company and you're sitting at the board of directors meeting, the basic choice you will be presented is lifting and shifting or going cloud native, right? So imagine you're a financial institution, a manufacturing company, and that's a real world questions. That's what I've seen, and that's what often you would be presented with. And lifting and shifting, what does it mean? You have your data center or you're renting space somewhere. You have your existing application. Lifting and shifting means you don't change much. You don't change the architecture. You don't change the code. You're just lifting and shifting. Now, going cloud native, on the other hand, means uh, you analyze the application. You hire a business analyst. They analyze the application. What does the application do? And so we don't care about code. We don't care about database. We don't care about anything. We just want the functionality. The functionality is what we want. And so they analyze the functionality, they capture it in use cases and kind of slides and diagrams and stuff, whatever. And then they implemented cloud native. And oftentimes the code is shrunk by 90% because you go with Lambda function, for example. Anyways, let's go back to our slides. And I'll stop sharing for a moment because I know there will be blank screen. This platform sucks a little bit. Or maybe it's my laptop. I don't know what it is, but I think my laptop is fine because it's fairly new. So you're supposed to see a slide that says accounting. If not, please let me know. We'll move to the next slide because we want to cover domain 5 today. So single factor authentication, multi-factor. Anybody have questions about it? Well, you just need to remember that multi-factor, of course, involves more than one factor proof. So that's the bottom of the screen, bullet point. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just reading. I'm sorry. I thought I was on mute. I was reading something that was in the rereading something that was in the chat. No worries. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll go on mute. Sorry.
No, at least you were reading something related to it.
Yeah, no, I was reading what Will sent, and that just broke it down really clear about it. So, no, that makes sense. Thanks, Will.
Yeah.
You got it.
Excellent. So access control technologies and devices. So there's access control tokens. Anybody, so I remember in 90s, late 90s, 2000, like everybody was proudly wearing that RSA token on their back. And that, yeah. Anyways, biometrics, yeah, you don't wear those. It's supposed to be with you always. I'm joking. Obviously, your fingerprint is always with you right now. Yeah. Registration proofing establishment. I mean, so what happens? I mean, anybody needs to explaining this. So the onboarding process, you come in person usually, you show your, well, in the past, you show your social security card at least. And then I remember doing paper fingerprints, with fingers being covered with ink. Now it's done digitally, but the point is there's a registration proofing, establishment of identity. And the same with the know your customer, K1C, KYC, yeah, for like any kind of financial services.
Wait, so they're not going to go over what are physical tokens like smart cards and proximity cards?
Later in other domains.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
It's like really broad.
That's a good question. Excellent question. But excellent question. But remember, it's an inch deep and 3,000 miles wide lake, so ocean, whatever. So there's no deep dive on. Nobody's gonna ask you what physical tokens, what they
Sure,
look
but
like. I mean,
whenever I take practice tabs, like I guess those they go an inch and a half deep because they don't just ask what is a physical, security token. They say,
well, I mean, anybody needs to be explained what physical token is. So physical is something physical. Yeah, it could be PIF card. It could be that little. Used to be RSA only, but then there's so many other brands came up, right? So many other companies came up. So there's a little physical thing that displays numbers, and it's synchronized with your server, synchronized with the authentication server. And so yeah, it's you use that. It's kind of like a SAUT, right? Display the number. Use that random number in conjunction with your actual password. So
would a smart card be a physical considered?
so with federal government, you always had a PIF card, right? The PIF card, it has Java applet. It's the little card that actually it's I shouldn't say computer, but it's kind of like a small computer. You insert it and it loads Java applet and provides the authentication. It has unique ID and so on. It's pre-configured. Yeah, so you insert the PIF card, you use your fingerprint then on your laptop, and in conjunction with PIF card, fingerprint, and then you use the password. It kind of works together. Yeah, it authenticates you. I just assume everybody knows what physical security tokens are. Yeah, it's something physical. It's something not part of your body. Biometrics obviously would be your body. I think there's another slide where we discuss. So authentication could be done with what you know, what you have, what you are, right? So what you know is your password, right? What you have, it's a physical security token. And what you are is your biometrics, like your eye scan or fingerprint or things like that. Yeah, things of that nature, maybe something else. I mean, in some extreme cases, if you go to some very secure facilities, yeah, they measure your other physical parameters. I don't know, like your breath or heart rate, whatever, weight. Yeah, somebody gave an example, right? That there's a man trap system, and if your weight, if you're usually you're 200 pounds, and suddenly there's a deviation of more than 20 pounds, and yeah, man trap would trigger, and you'll be locked up until somebody human comes and they identify you and verify that you are you are who you are. I mean, imagine getting pregnant and suddenly your weight is like, yeah. So, anyways, I mean, I've never been pregnant, but just an idea that why would your weight suddenly change, right? And suddenly doesn't mean over a day, but like a few months, within a year. Yeah. So proofing, registration establishment, that's the enrollment process when you go through this onboarding, things like that. Yeah. So 800-63 contains recommendations. The single sign-on architecture. Yeah, there's been so many original architectures, so much money been made. My gosh, I wish I made some of them. But the point is, you authenticate once, and then once you authenticate it, you have access to human resources, you have access to SharePoint, you have access to other applications, file servers, you can work on other projects, you can click around, no need to type your password again or even insert your card, right? That's the idea. All right. So here's a gosh, I don't remember what's the acronym, but actually let me look this up because it may come in the exam. But the idea is there's a false rate of acceptance, right? There's a yeah, false rejection rate. So, and depending on the environment, you may prefer. So when it's mostly for software developers, I guess, or when you're choosing a product to deploy. But typically vendors won't tell you, oh, they'll tell you, oh, we don't have any false rejection rate, or we don't have false acceptance rate. We always 100% accurate, right? Most of vendors will tell you this. But yeah, hypothetically, and if so, when you do with contracting, federal government contracting, you do the request for proposal, RFQ, right? A statement of work. I've never seen it inserted in any contractual language. Never. And I don't think anybody will tell you, honestly, like the vendor comes and tells you, oh, our false rejection rate is 5%. I've never seen it. But for the exam purposes, remember it. It's there. Um, so obviously, false rejection rate is when, so imagine um, you have purchased a product and it's a fingerprint scanner and it's at the door of your office. And false rejection rate means it's you are enrolled, it's your fingerprint, you're not faking it. And then, and hypothetically, for the example purposes, let's imagine 50% is the false rejection rate, which means out of 2 times you swipe your finger, 1 time you'll be rejected, right? So you swipe it, you went for lunch, you come back and you swipe it and it doesn't let you in. Yeah. And again, 50% would be extreme and would be like nobody would buy that product, right? But well, who knows? Who knows? We live in 21st century. 21st century, we were all hoping would be better, but things are not better. So false acceptance rate. Imagine somebody, a random person from the street comes in and they swipe their finger and they're accepted. The system lets them in. So what's worse? Well, here it shows greater security, greater risk. This is hypothetical slide. I don't think in real world would be looking at it like this, but maybe in some environments, maybe. So if false acceptance rate is 5%, would it be okay for you? I don't know. If you're a SCADA environment and it's very highly sensitive data, then you may say no. We want something like, I don't know. So just-in-time identity. It's a fairly new concept. It's only been around actually it's been around for about 15 years, but it gained traction only recently, right? So it's when systems have been providing, so it's provide on-demand, real-time, or nearly real-time creation and provisioning of human and non-human user identities. So it's important to remember it's not only for humans, it's for applications also. There's a CAPM, Computer Associates product called Privileged Access Management. Then, gosh, nothing comes to mind now. There's a lot of products like that the applications have to be onboarded and so on. But that provides the just-in-time identity when it's created on the fly, and applications or human users can have access. So just remember that just-in-time, JIT, is not a fake concept. If you see it on the exam, it's a valid one, and it provides near real-time provisioning, deprovisioning of privileges. So that's all you need to remember for the exam. All right, so let's check your knowledge. We'll probably do 20 minutes and then we'll do the questions. But if we move fast enough. So when considering biometric implementation, which type error represents a false rejection? Oops.
I think it's type 1.
I don't know. There's no question. And I mean, there's no answer here. And if you go back, I don't think there's that's the slide, right?
When you say, what do they mean false? False positive? False error rate? Because I think it's 2. The 2 is the FARR.
No. Okay, sorry. I just looked it up in my instructor guide. I didn't know this. So there's only 2 types, okay? And let me clarify. False rejection rate is type 1. And I'm looking at this now. Sorry.
False acceptance rate is 2.
I didn't pay attention. I apologize. False acceptance rate is type 2, right? So there's only 2 types. Okay.
So what is it? Oh, false rejection is 1.
So here we're talking about error type represents false rejection. So it would be type 1. Yeah. Type 1. So federated identity with a third-party service. Anybody using that? You go to job hunting website, or you go to dating application, you register and ask you, would you like to create account or would you like to log in with Facebook account, right? Or Google account. So it's a third party federated identity with a third party service. Is it good? Yeah, good or bad, it doesn't matter. It exists and it's possible. So the key point is it reduces the um, overhead on your application if you're application provider. That's the key point. All right. Unless you need to discuss any of these bullet points, let's move on. But if you do need to discuss something, don't feel shy.
Yeah, I just feel like we're going too fast through the slides. It's just like move on, move on. We're not analyzing or discussing them enough.
You're right, we're not, because I mean, which bullet point would you like to discuss? Because it's this. So when stuff is a little bit, so, and again, that's why I'm asking you. I'm asking you specifically because for me, this stuff is obvious. I mean, yeah.
Well, we can talk about the due diligence and due care. That gets me a little confused, but I think I'm good with that. I mean, I think I'm good with that, but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So as a reminder, and there's not much to discuss
I
about
think,
it. As
yeah,
a reminder, we discussed it a lot, I think, on day 2 or 3, right?
yes.
So due care when you implement control, right? Due diligence is when you monitor that the control is operating as you intended, right? You get it?
Mm-hmm.
You care, you implement control, due diligence, you monitor that the control is functioning as you expected.
Yeah, because this has been an area that even with myself, it's trying to find that fine line of what's the difference.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've seen it other places where it's the opposite. It's due cares where you maintain it and you're, monitoring and maintain it. And due diligence is you're providing as a management or you're providing information and you're planning and you're doing those things.
Above and
So,
beyond.
right, exactly. So he's saying one thing, slides are saying another, but I just go by the practice test. Practice tests are saying due diligence is when you plan, you initiate, you act, management will do that. And due care is pretty much when you're carrying it on, maintaining it, monitoring it, and those type of things. Essentially the opposite of what was just said.
April, do you mind if I ask you what you're using for your study questions?
Yep, I was using the app this what is it called?
Learns app or
Learn
Pocket?
the app.
Learns app. I'm using the Learns app.
All right.
I'm using the Learns app and yeah.
Right, right. So April and others. So about 6 weeks ago, we had an initial meeting when Vincent invited me to one of your video conferences. And I made a point and I repeated this point, I don't know, at least 20 times. Please, for the exam purposes, if you're planning to take the exam, do not use any outside sources or material. Please do not. Until you pass the exam. After you pass the exam, then you can entertain yourself with other PDFs or practice exams or whatever, because they will derail you. They will confuse you. Try to, so there's should be single source of truth, and that's a concept, that's architecture. They say single source of truth, IC square. Until you pass the exam, after you pass the exam, then you can read whatever you want, and it's fine. But otherwise, your chances of passing the exam will be reduced.
I just posted a link from ISC Squared where they tell you exactly what they're looking for.
All right. All right. Let me. Well, actually, I'm not gonna look now, but we're gonna take a little break in 10 minutes, and then maybe I'll look at it. I think we should move because if we at least at least cover half of the domain today. I mean, I was hoping we would cover the full domain today, but oh, the federated identity or the hybrid. Yeah. So the key point usually it minimizes the upfront cost and setup time, has high scalability, and of course, federated identity in a lot of cases with the federal government, what it means, you already have Active Directory, you already have 5,000 people enrolled, you already checked them up, and then you start moving to the cloud, and then you do federated identity with your Active Directory, and then of course it reduces all your costs, the whole overhead, the investment. Yeah. All right. On-premises solution may lack modern capabilities and so on. And of course, when they talk about capabilities, you talk about what you talk about. You talk about privileges. How do you manage privilege? In other words, who has access to this database? Do my developers able to delete data or update data, modify it? Yeah. So when we talk, when you see the word capabilities in this context, it's the privileges, right? And how you manage those privileges. How quickly can you update those privileges? How quickly you can provision them, and how fine granular they will be, right? So when you use Azure function or Lambda as a function, that or any cloud native service, that becomes a very big issue. Right, we're not going to read the case study because, well, just a case study. It's not going to be on the exam. So access control models. So here's a very, very nice summary, and I like it because it's just so short, right? You just have this box. So the policy decision, security planning, and model support. Those are the three key aspects that will be maybe tested on the exam if you see. And again, if this will come up on the exam, this is a very small domain, and that's why I'm saying if, because that small domain, I think it accounts only for about 9% of the questions, the entire domain. So there's a chance maybe you'll have this, the chance of having a question on this subject is probably 1 out of 10. So all right. Any questions? I know, probably April, probably thinking you overthinking, I think. So, but
Yeah, I think so too. You're right.
no, but what if you have mechanical memory like I do? Take a screenshot and write it down on paper. Whatever you will remember will be sufficient. So, okay, let's spend another 10 seconds. So, it's either mandatory, discretionary, or non-discretionary, right? There's either central authority or data owners, right? So in case of, for example, think about your Facebook account. Yes, there's a central authority, the Facebook, and millions of people can log in. But you, the data owner, right? And you decide who can see your posts or your pictures, and you make them public or you make them private, right? And if you make them private, only your friends can see it. So that's one example. You data owner, and you say, okay, I discuss whatever the latest style of shoes, and only I and my friends can look at that. That's it. You're data owner. And people often think, oh, it's maybe big database or HR system. No, Facebook is a perfect example, or Instagram, or whatever the current. I don't follow all those platforms, but whatever the most popular platform now for social media, and in social media, people who post, they're the data owners, right? And for GDPR purposes, that's also true. People who post the messages, they're data owners. And Facebook or whatever the platform is, they're the custodians, right? Or maybe controllers, data controllers or data custodians, depending on use case. Role-based access control, RBAC. And when I was passing Solaris data administrator exam, it was like 2002 or something. It was a big subject, role-based access control. And some systems, they actually implement those roles when you log in, and then you choose a role. Nowadays, with CAPM and all the other systems, you explicitly may choose a role. You log in as generic user, and then you choose a role, and role can be, okay, I'm application admin, or I'm a editor, or whatever. And then based on the role, specific privileges will be on the fly dynamically assigned to you, right? So, so depending on the application, um, you may have more privileges or fewer, and multiple roles may be defined. And so this becomes, it's not exactly called RBAC, but in cases of cloud native applications like Azure functions, Lambda functions, roles are extremely important, because imagine there's vulnerability in the code, like SQL injection or cross-site scripting and some kind of injection. If the application has more roles, if not even application, in case of Lambda function, that little snippet of code has more privileges than it should have, the role is not defined well, or role is defined loosely. They just, oh, click. Yeah, I just click everything because otherwise it doesn't work. My application doesn't work. Let's click everything. And you choose, there's literally screen when they, or it could be dynamically created using code, infrastructure as a code, right? And then if the roles are not limited and there's too many privileges, then this little snippet of code may become very dangerous part of your application, because if there's vulnerability, it will be exploited eventually, maybe not right away, right? So roles are extremely important. That's a very important concept. So in 3 minutes, we're gonna take a little break. I'm gonna get my coffee refill, and all right. So this, don't try to memorize this picture. This is a conceptual illustration. Okay. And we're gonna skip activity. We don't have time for activities. And by the way, some of you may be thinking, oh, we're not getting enough time, whatever. So when people pay full price, like thousands of dollars for a boot camp, the typical scheduled time is from 9 to 4:30, with 1 hour for lunch break included, right? So then they don't get 8 hours. Anyways, so now we're talking about rule-based access control. It's not role-based. And please don't ask me because I don't know the difference. I do not know. I do not want to know because, well, when and internet and the overall computing environment changes every 5, 10 years, right? So right now everything is around roles. So if you look at the um, cloud native apps, role is everything. You create how you define role, how you assign role. That's everything right now in cloud native environments. Maybe in some environments, rule based stuff is important. I am not familiar, so attribute based access control is becoming more. It's gaining traction actually right now. Where, when, who, what role, what to do, resource, threat, recent actions. So everything is being analyzed. Um, or they so attribute based role access control ABAC. Uh, Anybody can describe a pure implementation of this. Probably doesn't exist, right? Everything is attribute based, but yeah, for the exam purposes, do remember this. So access rights are granted to users with policies that combine attributes together, right? Let's go back to the rule-based. Predefined list of rules to determine access with additional granularity, right? And role-based, they're defined and users assume roles, right? So they sign in initially generic accounts, and afterwards they assume certain roles for a limited period of time. Okay, let's take a break, and then we'll probably let's cover a couple more slides, and then we'll take a break. So risk-based access control. Users in retail banking information, not retail saying. So risk-based access control, and I hate those because they work well for people who don't travel, but when you travel a lot, they try to authenticate you. They're like, oh, yeah, it's like. So my personal issue always, oh, we've sent this SMS code to your phone. My phone is US based. I don't have a SIM card inserted. It's in the United States and cannot use it in this country. And I'm like, oh yeah, so we cannot authenticate you. All right. Check your understanding. That's a good point to take a break. Yeah. So when considering modern implementations of access control, which model maps users to applications and then roles? And the answer is kind of puzzling to me, but anyway, maybe let's see if two or more of you can guess it right. then I'll say I'm stupid. But otherwise, it's kind of confusing to me.
Is it beta?
Say it again.
Is it beta?
Beta B as a boy.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else, please?
Well, it's the order of the question. Which model maps users to applications and then roles? And yeah, like Will said, I remember in the picture something about limited RBAC, but I would have to go back and look at the image again.
It is limited
I'm
RBAC.
wondering of
Yeah, I would say B also.
So it is limited RBAC. Yes.
Can we go
You
back
know-
to the slide real quick?
Okay. Sure.
this is the first time I've ever seen limited RBAC.
This one. Yeah. Users are mapped to applications. You're correct. But then another one also says, yeah, they the bottom one. Okay, look. So in limited RBAC model, the user is first assigned access permission to an application and to a given role within the application. So a user might have access to a financial application, but only as a user, not as a developer, right? Obviously, yeah.
What was the RU back? I thought I
Yeah.
saw.
I agree on that also.
All right. So the only
What was that slide?
Can you go to the next slide, please?
Okay.
hybrid and full.
Maybe that answer was just to throw you off.
Well, my case is it's obviously why I'm
Yeah, I might think.
because I already have the certification, so I'm not as intensely paying attention as you are because I already have the certification. I don't need to pass the exam, so it makes it a little bit easier for me.
And with Active Directory, it seems like full RBAC management is how they set up the objects or the role based, and then to the application or the printer that comes after that. But I'd still like to find out what the RU back is.
That right. Unless that was a distractor.
I think it doesn't exist in pure form anymore. So I mean, most of real world deployments, they're all hybrid. Well, I mean, I guess I should take it back. It depends on if you're a developer, then yeah, it's really important for you to consider how you implement it, right? The authentication and so on. Yeah. No, I'm sorry.
Pretty much.
Any other slide? You want to go back?
It looks like the RU was a red herring for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Red herring, I agree now. Thank you.
All right. Good. I'm glad we have this check your understanding questions. So I need to reboot my laptop. So let's take a break for 8 minutes until 8:15 because I hear echo, and usually when I reboot, it fixes it. So
Cliff, can you mute yourself?
say it again, please.
The echo you're hearing.
I'll be right back.
Is it gonna shut down the stream?
What was that?
I'm just asking if it's gonna shut down the stream, but I guess not because this stream could be joined by anybody. It's not like he's
Yeah.
the owner.
So, and April, for your
Yes.
question, what Alex was saying earlier, I'll try to post something that are my opinion only on what I've dealt with as far as the different avenues like Learn Zap and all that other stuff. But I'll post it in the room later.
Mhm.
My opinion, my experience.
The Learn Zap is official from ISC squared, so I
Right.
don't know.
Right, that's what I thought. I mean, and so I don't know what he is referring to because it is official.
And the official study guides, they bounce all over the place. They don't just do one domain. And so that, I don't know.
You're gonna say something, Cheryl?
Oh, I was going to ask you if you knew where the recordings are for the study group nights.
In the classroom.
Yeah, I mean, where?
Yeah, hold on.
I clicked every link I could find. I found one from last week.
And that's another thing. I
Oh.
think the study group is very efficient, more efficient than I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. Oh, this is the right place.
Yeah, he does it the way you learn in university classes, and that has a good benefit, I think.
Right, and we didn't have to pay $400 for that.
There's that.
I just love when they remind you that you're not paying full price.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering how this was gonna go. And when he said that it was a review, it was like, okay, because we didn't pay the $1,000 or the $2,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think what's happening here, because these are being recorded, so my guess is that Alex is not sending them over to Vince and Vince uploading them, because this is where they should be.
So those are, I mean, the ones from Tuesday and Thursday night from Josh.
Oh, I don't know.
The other ones they're in the, I did find those. If I didn't check to see if they've been are recent though. Since
Well, are you referring to this? They're
no,
not.
the study group with Josh.
Okay.
He's really good, and
Yeah, I've been on one with Josh before. He was really good.
You should try not missing the Tuesday, Thursday ones, because he's much more open to explaining your question.
Oh, okay.
yeah, he's really good. He's trained. He is a professor and a college professor, and he's working on being a better one. So that makes
So
sense.
yeah, he wasn't last night, right? It was someone else.
Yeah.
Oh, that other
well,
guy.
it's Vince.
Yeah, right. Okay. Because I jumped on at the last minute. It was Central Time. I missed basically most of it.
And Josh wants to move it up to what, an hour and a half now, I believe, which is nice.
He did mention that. Yeah.
Oh, that's
For questions, like the last 30 minutes of questions, something like that.
yeah.
But real quick, I kind of agree with Alex about staying just focused on the ISC Square stuff, because beginning in July, I bought the all-in-one, I bought the Luke Ahmed stuff, I bought the Ben Maslow stuff, and now I'm like completely overwhelmed.
Yeah, I have a few books here. I have the Sean Harris book. I have the obviously the IC Square, and I've read. I'm reading the 11th Hour, and
How's that one?
that's really good. But that's like literally the 11th hour before you go in.
All right.
the day before because it just highlights and it's pretty good. And then so
As I understand it, they are all working off of the what's it called? The official body of knowledge.
CBK,
It's just that, yeah,
common knowledge, you know.
it's just that all those individual instructors are they're explaining it their own way, but
right,
it's all the same information.
right. And I agree, but I'm trying to make sure whoever clicks with me on just explaining makes sense. You know how I'm hearing it, and sometimes I just want to hear it different ways to totally get it.
Or give me a situation which I understand, and I can then manipulate it into
Correct.
understanding it a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
examples work help.
right.
drive
Or
it home.
So everybody
exact-
has their spin, but one of them will interact better in my mind, I think.
So in my case, and I want to clarify it, I have my opinions, and I keep my opinions to me, and I try to follow the instructor guide from IC Square. And whatever the guide says, I try to give it to you. Well, not try, I give it to you because I mean, I have my opinions, and sometimes my opinions are different. But my opinions don't matter for the exam purposes, right? You want to pass the exam. That's why you need to know what IC Square says, not what I think, not what some other source on the internet thinks. I mean, after you pass the exam, you can ask my opinion if you want. Maybe if you come to Lima, Peru, maybe you can have a drink together and have time together. But until then, until you pass the exam, please focus on what IC Square says. So you have a choice now. Give it to me. Do we continue with the slides, or do we go to review questions? Because we
Alex, if
covered.
I may also share, I do like how your official ISC Square stuff goes through each domain, where in the official study guide books, they bounce around. So I'm liking how your stuff is presented.
And again, I'm not choosing it. I'm just following the guide. So there's a pacing guide. And one of the first days, I showed you the pacing guide, and I can show it now if you want. And there's a guide for the instructors how to deliver it. And again, about a year ago, IC Square, they changed the guidance for instructors. So before, there was a very rigid guidance. You must do this and this and that. About a year ago, they changed that. They said instructors don't have to cover every single slide. Instructors don't have to cover every single page, because the instructor guide is huge. There's a lot of, fluid information. But generally speaking, I follow the instructor guide and I deliver you what the instructor guide says. So right now, do we go to review questions, or do you want to continue with the slides? Let's do, gosh, what is it?
I say 45 minutes left to review questions. That's my opinion.
Okay, I think it's a good option, yeah, because we only covered 90 so far, and if we cover, and I think there's about 220 review questions, so there's plenty to be covered. Unless somebody objects strongly, we will do the review questions. All right.
Sounds good.
Excellent, excellent. We have a consensus, and we're doing okay with the slides. We're not behind now. We used to be behind, but we are now. Do you see the question now? I think I shared with you. You're supposed to be looking at question 90. I think we left. We did it last time, yesterday, right? Question 90. That's where we left off. But let's do it again and see if you remember.
I think we answered that one. It was B. Bravo.
Yeah, be bravo.
I know it, but I'm always trying to go back to the
All right.
previous slide. So okay, question 91. Yeah.
Bravo.
Okay, do we have consensus?
Yes.
Anybody wants to say something else? No, it is Bravo. Yeah. Very good choice. Bravo is the correct answer, yes. Information flow model. That's the correct answer. Information flow model extends the state machine model, and it describes how privileges are granted to subjects.
Charlie?
That's it. Are you talking about question 152?
No, 92.
I'm joking, yes. Yes. Well, I'm checking if you sleep well. So let me read the official feedback. Algorithms are, in most cases, freely available, which means that a would-be hacker will always have access to most elements, right? Yeah, it's kind of resonates with the Kerckhoffs principle, right?
So that was alpha, not beta.
In question 92, the correct answer is Charlie, C.
C.
Yes.
The reason I went with that is because of the PKI, the public key infrastructure. Everything is open source except for the key. That's how I
Yeah.
answered that one.
Yeah.
But
Got it.
the giveaway is Kernoff's. His principle is all about keep the key secret, but keep you can know everything. You can know anything you want to know about the process or whatever, but the key has to remain secret. So that's why I would
Yeah.
read
And
the question.
and when you have free time, do read about Kerckhoffs. It's a fascinating story. He actually designed his principle before any computers existed. He lived in like 150 years ago in Netherlands. Yeah. Anyways, it's fascinating sometimes. I love history. So question 93. Um, so which of the following are ruggedized controllers? Real-time control.
I want to say A on this one.
Yeah, same.
I didn't hear that, but
A.
yeah, alpha. The correct answer is alpha. Yeah,
Yeah, Robert had it first. Yep.
I confirm it. Very good. Very good. Guys. Correct answer is alpha. Um, question 94. Surprisingly,
Bravo,
mm,
because it has data acquisition. When you're
um,
looking for
so let me read it for you if you wish to hear the feedback. POCs are ideal for controlling individual machines and processes like wind turbines, for example, right? They offer real-time performance and ruggedized to operate reliably in harsh environments, making them well-suited for the wind farm project.
So it's alpha again?
It's alpha, yes.
For again.
It's again alpha, and I'm surprised. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I'm thinking about Siemens product in that Iranian nuclear project.
Right, but so what's the giveaway? I mean, because a DCS is supposed to effectively run or monitor systems with, say, within a building or within like a petroleum refinery, right? SCADA systems, as ICS systems, are supposed to do that in a regional matter. So multiple petroleum refineries within the region of the United States. So I would have thought it would have been DCS, but what's the giveaway in terms of it being a single PLC?
So when I
component.
go ahead.
No, I was thinking it was the word component
Mm,
was a giveaway to me, for me.
Right. Yes, exactly. Because to be honest, I chose Charlie, DCS,
hmm
when I first saw this question because I didn't read it carefully, and I was thinking, okay, it's a wind farm, it's distributed over miles and miles,
hmm
right?
Yeah.
And that's why I thought DCS should be, but no, they're talking about not the whole infrastructure. They're talking about individual,
Okay.
low level control. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I also chose Charlie, like you, because I was thinking wind farm. And so I used to live in Netherlands, in around Amsterdam, like 20 miles from Amsterdam. There's so many wind farms. You can see them on the coast. You go on the shore, you'll see them everywhere. Like they're kind of ugly because it spoils the view, to be honest. But anyways, sorry for the. Yeah, I lived in, well, I've been to 55 countries. And to be honest, I hate those wind farms. They spoil the view. Anyways, question 95.
Now, I have an answer for this one, but I do have a question.
Oh,
All ISO standards cost
Uh-huh.
money to review them.
oh yeah. Not much, $450 euros
Per
400 per
yeah,
document.
not
Per
per
document.
document, yeah.
You're right. I know.
But
I know.
95, I'd say Charlie.
No. Charlie is a perfect answer. Actually, it's correct answer. Yes. Let's move. Anybody needs more time to take a screenshot or capture it? We move on. Question 96.
I'm sorry. What was it,
Charlie.
Charlie? Which was
Network as a service.
okay.
I can go back for a second. No problem.
That's fine. Network as a service. Got it.
Yeah. It's just kind of surprising to me because if you go to AWS, do you see network as a service? Not really, but now that I'm preparing for the certified cloud security professional, I accept those answers because that's how IC² product development team is thinking. And until I pass the exam, I have to accept their rationale. So after I pass the exam, I can go back to Azure or AWS probably. Yeah. So I used to work a lot in the federal government in the scientific community. And scientific community at the US government is actually preferring Google Cloud. But anyways, doesn't matter. But then what is scientific community, right? Developing nuclear bomb? Yeah. Embedded systems.
I don't want to be the first one to answer again.
Okay, but
Jump and say,
so I'll read the feedback and we'll move on because we don't have much time. So
Alpha.
the miniaturization of computer equipment, such as cell phones, has led to multiple components being incorporated into a single chips. In this regard, they could be considered a paradigm of the embedded concept, right? Which long winding road, right? But the correct answer is alpha. Yes. I mean, it's okay. You remember, nobody knows everything, and depends on your environment and what you've been doing. When I read embedded, You know what first comes to mind? Sleeping cat. It's a type of database, sleeping cat database. I guess not all of you know what sleeping cat database is, but
All right, could you say that again? Because even the closed captions coming up with sleeping cat.
sleeping cat database, yeah. But it doesn't matter.
Didn't you say embedded systems refers to Internet of Things devices?
Yeah, your smart refrigerator, for example, or your cell phone, right?
The day your toaster gets malware, what do you do?
You remember I told you about that coffee maker in the bank lobby in Chantilly, Virginia? That was a real case, not imagined one, not made up. I didn't make it up. It's a real story. The coffee maker in the bank lobby in Chantilly, Virginia. He was plugged into the security team. They didn't onboard it as a security device or as a network device. They left it to janitors to deal with that. That was the problem. So janitors, they open the box. There's a cable. Oh, what do we do with the cable? Oh, plug it in here. Plug it in here. Yeah. There's a plug in the RJ45 on the wall. Let's plug it in. Turn it on. Default settings, default password. So sometimes, yeah. Anyways, question 97, right? And again, if when I can, not if, I will be back in the States, of course. When I'm back in the States, we can go out, have drink, or if you come to Lima, then we can talk about all these stories. And I can tell you more stories that I'm not allowed to tell on the air, of course. Yeah. 26 years working for the federal government. Yeah, many stories. Anyways, which of the following is the input variable within a cryptographic algorithm? That should be easy. So, I mean, if you read, but if you do the exclusion, can it be an algorithm? Algorithm is not input variable, obviously. Can it be an encryption process? Well, process is not input variable, it's the process, right?
Charlie is.
No, the key space is where you choose the input from.
Oh,
That leaves us with alpha, a key, alpha. I'm sorry. I speak Spanish mostly nowadays here, and that's why my L is palatable. That's why I say alpha, but I should say alpha. Yeah.
Yeah, because the key space is the number of keys that can exist within a.
Exactly.
Right.
You choose it from
Right.
the key space, right?
And then the key space has a definite effect on the work factor, right, to then break that encryption or algorithm or system.
right.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So and the instructor guide mentions that, and I think I did mention it to you. So if the key space is limited to one language, one alphabet, then the key space is smaller, right? But if, let's say, you include Russian language or Hebrew or French or some other, then of course the key space increases, right? Whether it's French or Spanish, the key space doesn't increase much because there's only like 4 characters that are different. But with Russian, for example, if you add Russian language, and exponentially increases, or Hebrew, it's like, yeah. So you understand the concept of key space? Everybody does, right? It's the number of characters that available for the input.
That's what threw me because I was thinking it would be variable in size.
Input variable. Which of the following is the input variable? Well, if you think in terms of an equation, right? Then you're right. Look, I've been writing questions for AC Square, and I've been there at workshops, and I don't think any of them are English majors. I don't think so. I don't mean to sound funny, but it's true. There's no English majors on the product development team, so don't expect perfect English. Expect more like a, and most of I shouldn't say most, no, but a lot of IT professionals in the United States, they are not English majors, and they're not from the United States. Yeah. Anyways, question 98. Let's not waste time. Let's use it productively.
A.
Any other opinions?
A.
Okay. The one-time pad is a cipher system that relies on a set of keys, one per sheet of paper, bound in a pad. Yeah. Alpha is perfect answer. A is correct. So it's 98. Question 98. The correct answer is alpha. A, one-time pad. Okay. Question 99.
Beta.
Yeah, B is correct answer. Question 99, B is the correct answer. Question 100. I'm sorry. I apologize. For some reason it doesn't work when I share just one window. I have to share the whole thing. That's why it's like that. Yeah. So question 100. So I'm sorry.
Would it
Are
be
we?
A? Well, I don't know. A is, I was thinking more of, not A.
I'm sorry. Sorry. You're supposed to be looking at question 19.
We're on 100.
We're on
We're on
100.
100.
Oh, yeah, 100. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
C and D are Charlie Delta are not common. So that brings us down to alpha and beta.
Mm-hmm.
So elliptic curve cryptography relies on mathematical calculations based upon known curves. I don't even know what it means, but the correct answer is B, beta.
B.
Yeah, that's the correct answer.
Delta.
I mean, I believe it or not, I had A on calculus,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't use it every day. But yeah, question 101.
Bravo.
Steganography.
Yes, it is. Do you think steganography is being used nowadays or not?
It sounded like Cheryl, they use it at their job.
Sorry, which one is this?
No, I'm sorry. It was just a rhetorical question. I asked about steganography, if it's still being used.
Oh, we monitor for it.
No, but actually it is being used. But
Yeah.
it's more like a watermarking. For example, videos, video images, PDFs. When they distribute PDFs, they include watermarking. It's invisible inside, but for controlling. So, for example, if I gave you PowerPoint slides or the instructor PDF guide, then IC Square would be able to see it that I gave it away because there's watermarking inside. So,
Mhm.
and of course, I could run it. I mean, I can write Python code. It'll take 5 minutes to strip it off all the watermarking, but I wouldn't do it, of course, for ethical reasons. There's a Python library for that, I think. Yeah, so it's
So is steganography, is it like considered metadata, data inside of data?
Yeah, I would say.
in what it depends on the implementation, but yeah, it's so historically, well, I shouldn't say historically, but original, well, okay, in the 90s, late 90s, you would have picture, right? Like a GIF or JPEG, and inside of JPEG, there's additional. You can insert any kind of binary object. You could open binary object and insert an additional message, and the file would still look the same. The picture would look the same. Nothing would change, at least visibly, right? But inside there could be a message saying "I love you," "I hate you," or "Come to this." Yeah, like I have a special spy information for you. Oh gosh, I stole this, whatever. That's how it used to be in 90s, late 90s. Nowadays, it's yeah, it's used as watermarking and things like that. But there are many use cases. Anyways, question 102.
I thought C, and that's
C,
just yes.
C is correct. Charlie is correct. It's excellent choice. Very good. Very good. So we're looking at question 103.
Charlie.
Charlie is excellent choice. Very good choice. Correct. So question 103, the correct answer is Charlie. C, transport layer security encryption. Yes. Let me scroll it down again. All right. Question 104. And it's confusing, but I hate those long questions. I'm going to put on mute just for a second because I don't want you to hear how I move a chair. I need to grab a glass of water. Wait. Nice. So, a trapdoor function trapdoor function in cryptography is a feature that makes it easy to compute in one direction but difficult in the opposite direction without special information such as a trapdoor key. So this one is a little bit tough, right? So question 104, the correct answer is beta. Oh boy, bravo. A trapdoor function is the correct answer. Question 104. Sorry, just want to make sure you can hear me.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I was like, because I was moving around and like, I wasn't sure. All right, thank you for your feedback. Question 105.
I have a question on 104. Can you explain that again, the trapdoor function?
Sure, yeah. Let's to be honest, I cannot explain it because I'm not cryptography developer, but I can read you the official explanation. So a trapdoor function in cryptography is a feature that makes it easy to compute in one direction, but difficult in the opposite direction without special information such as trapdoor key. So this would allow authorized individuals to decrypt messages under certain conditions without needing the standard decryption key. So again, I'm not a developer for unless you're a crypto developer, like cryptography developer. I don't think you can truly understand this. I think you just need to remember that a trapdoor function is undetectable to anyone analyzing the encryption algorithm. So if you're applying for a job at NSA, then yeah, definitely that's for you. And I'm serious because, I mean, all of the encryption stuff, encryption, at the user interface, I know it very well. I understand all the PKI. I know how to use the software. I know how to use features. But when it comes to development stuff, no, I don't. Well, I wish if I could understand it, if I was good at that, I wouldn't be here in this class, to be honest. I would be making like $300,000 per year working for NSA, or maybe $3 million working for some private company. No, I mean, that's the reality.
All right, thank you for the explanation.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sound like that. But I can read it again if necessary.
Yes, can you read it one more time, please?
Sure. So a trapdoor function in cryptography is a feature that makes it easy to compute in one direction, but difficult in the opposite direction without special information, such as a trapdoor key. That makes it easy to compute in one direction, but difficult in the opposite direction without special information, such as a trapdoor key. This would allow authorized individuals to decrypt messages under certain conditions without needing the standard decryption key. Yeah, I'm sorry, it doesn't sound very easy to understand because So this would allow authorized individuals to decrypt messages under certain conditions without needing the standard decryption key. So it all sounds Greek to me, to be honest, because they would be able to decrypt it without the decryption key. That's
Can
a
you put,
trapdoor.
can
Yeah.
you scroll up to question 104 one more time, please?
Right. Sorry.
I
Yeah.
just, okay, so I know the explanation. I just want to know how it ties to the question.
Well, the key here, that authorized individual would be able to read it without the decryption key. That doesn't sound good to me, no?
Because trapdoor functions are tied to asymmetric key, right? I mean, that's what asymmetric key is. Or am I completely
No, that's right.
wrong about that? So a symmetric key wouldn't be the choice because that's the weakness of symmetric key. That's why you use it in combination with asymmetric, which works over TLS. So they share the same key. A hashing algorithm wouldn't be the choice, obviously, because all it is an authentication feature. But yeah.
So, I mean, the whole scenario sounds like what? Like one of those backdoors created and vulnerabilities intentionally created upon the request from NSA, right? I mean, think logically. Development team is considering incorporating a feature that would allow authorized individuals to decrypt messages. Authorized individuals. Who is authorized individuals? Upon court order, FISA, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, right? To decrypt messages without the usual decryption key. I mean, the
Right.
whole thing is, it's like
Without going too far down the rabbit hole, wouldn't it be the trapdoor function would be related to asymmetric keys? And then we're starting to talk about private to public key pairs, right? And what generates those when you're part of a organization's network, right? That root, it's tied into certificates. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, right? And that root authority with your information as part of the IAM process creates public and private shared keys as part of a asymmetric key function. So the root I'm going to use certificates now. The root certificate server would be able to then, as the authorized whatever, and then be able to decrypt your information because it provided those keys by initially creating those with its private key. I guess I'm kind of no, I'm tying something else in.
well, you're too smart, you're too intelligent, you're too logical, because if you read the question carefully,
Right.
are they developed? So they're not talking about interface feature. They're not talking about some checkbox. If you read the question, it says developing a new encryption algorithm. So NIST, they just finished the round of submissions. 3 years ago? About 7 years ago, they announced, they saying we need submissions for the quantum resistant algorithms, right? And there are about 200 submissions, right? Maybe less, fewer. And the companies had to follow the RFQ, the request for proposal, request for quote, right? And there's requirements, and they submitted algorithms, right? Algorithms. Do you understand the word algorithm? Algorithm is not a product, it's algorithm. Later, when algorithms are approved, it could be implemented, right? So, but don't be pedantic in this case, because the questions are not always correct. And so this question is not a good question, to be honest. But the implication is very interesting. But in this question, they're saying that the U.S. government or Russian government or Chinese government. Well, in this case, U.S. government, because U.S. government is dominating driving force for the development of new algorithm, right? So the U.S. government or others, they require that algorithm may have this feature. Do you think it's normal for algorithm to have a backdoor or trapdoor? Do you think it's normal? I don't think so. I think it's very bad. It's the implication is very bad here in this question. But anyways, let's move on because um yeah, they the word implements, right? Implement, not like a farm equipment implement, but in the sense of spine implement. So for years, the companies were creating implements, and when you remember that story I told you about Harold T. Martins, some of you may remember. I told you he was working for NSA. He created a playground in his basement of his house. He brought in a lot of toys from NSA, and some of those toys they later were released. And one of those toys, for example, was Cisco Backdoor. It was using Trapdoor in Cisco iOS, Cisco operating system that allowed anyone in the world basically to access any router. So yeah, it's a little bit sad, but that's the reality of the world that we live in. Do we still want to beat this horse, or do we move to question 105? I think this horse is dead. Question 105.
How about
B?
B?
B? Yeah, I thought B also.
Yeah, B is excellent answer. Yeah, it is correct. Yeah, bravo. Steganography. Question 106. Yeah.
See,
Yeah, it is C.
Early.
And I'm surprised, as if somebody on the product team wants to deliver some kind of message to us, right? Keep on pointing at the same stuff. It is trapdoor functions. Yeah. 106. Correct answer is Charlie.
Can you go back to that question? I just wanted to, I wasn't finished reading it. That
I'm
106, 106, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thank you. I wanted to see what the other options were. Thanks.
Right. Yeah. Okay. We have 4 minutes. So,
Bravo.
um, so hashing does not process a key and is a one-way process. It is the fastest.
Hmm.
So it does not process a key. It's a one-way function, right? It takes input, produces the output of fixed length that cannot be reversed. So the correct answer is Charlie.
Is that because no encryption is actually taking place? They're just verifying a hash?
Well, they're not even asking about that. They are just asking what's the fastest. So computationally, yeah. And they may be wrong. I don't know, because personally, I haven't done any benchmarking, but Probably, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's faster. They believe it's fastest. Hashing is the fastest, but so if I was taking the exam and I looked at this question, all the others one are too specific, and so I would probably, that's why I wouldn't go with asymmetric encryption, ICC, because yeah, it's the
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
everything I've read says that asymmetric, its fatal flaw is that it's slow. So if we're going by eliminating answers, that's how I would eliminate A and D.
Well, I would, well, asymmetric is always slow, generally speaking. And again, I haven't done any benchmarking, but if you read every single description, sorry, everywhere they say asymmetric is slow. So I would be looking at either Bravo or Charlie, right? B or C. But then encryption is always more computationally more expensive, takes more effort in terms of CPU cycles and memory. Hashing is, so yeah, that would be the reasoning. But A and D, alpha and delta, definitely not. I would exclude them right away because anything asymmetric would be slower. Yeah. Mhm. So question 1 or 8. It's probably the last question we're going to cover. Yeah, it's the last question because it's already 9 a.m. Yeah.
Alpha.
Alpha is perfect choice. Yes, it's the correct answer. So upgrading to a stronger cryptographic protocol like WPA is the most effective way to enhance wireless network security. Yeah. Excellent. Very good. All right, guys. Thank you for being with me this morning again. And we'll reconvene tomorrow. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All
Thanks,
right.
Alex.
Good morning.
Appreciate it, Alex. Talk to you later.